I agree with that, actually, Minister. I don't believe that you could possibly believe what's written here. I mean, it's bordering on pathetic, and I believe you're way above that standard. And when you talk about the choices, I'm aware, and so on, it is true that we are not in a position to independently verify. And so we're not in a position to independently verify it. But you go on to say that we have to act. We can't sit on our hands. And that's the only choice. We have to show solidarity. Now, how could you possibly reduce an intelligent human being's choices to that? Of course we can show solidarity. Of course we can show upset. But I think our role is to show leadership. We're a neutral country, and that doesn't mean we sit on our hands. That doesn't mean we don't participate. Neutrality puts an onus on us to act responsibly, to show leadership, to be a force for peace in the world, not the opposite. And of course, it is an appalling attack on this man and his daughter and the policeman and the other people who were affected, without a doubt. But there are many, many ways to react to this. And of course we have to put it in context. And quite clearly what has happened over the past number of years is a drama building up, as been pointed out by other colleagues on the left, in relation to NATO, the EU and America and Russia, and the building up of missiles right up to the Russian border. And if you think we can take this in isolation and ignore that, it's an utter madness. And now we've moved our foreign policy to say, as the satirical Waterford whispers, and I totally agree, we've now moved on. We're guilty till proven guilty, not innocent anymore. So we've moved on. Guilty till proven guilty. But typical Ireland and typical Thaig and Dáithív, we want it both ways, and we don't really want to annoy Russia too much, so we don't pick the ambassador. But we pick somebody less, on the basis of evidence that we're not really standing over. And we trust the likes of Boris in England, who you've no trust in at all. You've given out repeatedly in this stall about him in relation to Brexit. Now suddenly we chose to believe them. And then this is on top of an article, and actually I resented having to read this today, Minister, I have to tell you. Ireland and the EU defending our common European home, Fine Gael. I actually felt sickened, and I really resented having to read this document of 4 MEPs, Fine Gael, writing a discussion document, 2 of them women, which appalls me. There should be a force for peace, and they should be showing leadership. And instead of that, they're telling us that we're using outdated language in relation to our neutrality. And there is 15 pages of this. I would actually call it a revolting document. It's well worth looking at if you can actually maybe take medication first before you look at it, because I'm certainly disturbed by it, Minister. And we're told that big developments are potentially on the horizon. Big developments are potentially on the horizon. Outdated language. And then it goes on to tell us that Ireland claims a jurisdiction that is about 3 times the size of Germany, almost 1 million square kilometres, 93% of which is underwater. And it goes on to tell us that this is of huge strategic interest to the whole of the EU. And you know what? It's only reasonable that we would look to the EU to put in substantial investment to bolster our defence capability. Now, this is a country, 104,000 people living in poverty with a job. 104,000 people in this country. 780,000 people living in poverty, and the largest group are children, who make up 26.5%. That's more than 1 in 4. And we have a document from 4 MEPs, 2 of them female, telling us we should spend more money. And the biggest threat, they tell us, is from cyberspace and from those people out there who are different than us. The threat is not from poverty, lack of justice, war being pushed by the US and by the EU and by Russia, and climate change. None of those threats are in here. Just the people that don't look like us, don't act like us and don't speak like us. We need to defend Fortress Europe against those people, those barbarians. That is the basis of that document, and not one single analysis of the real threat. And the real threat that we're participating in is our failure to show leadership and to stand up and say there is a different way. And that's the way that we're going to push, and not play games that are tied on the heave.
Time has expired. Thank you. Now, Connolly.